Shelly.
Hey, Fraser.
Welcome to the tops and the flops, or
The cash and the trash.
yes, this is the trash. Apparently, we
Well, we were talking
um
about something trashy right before you
yeah.
turned on record. I think you just wanted to end the conversation.
I just wanted to be funny, to be honest.
Now I'm all embarrassed. Okay, all right.
I have a book that I would consider pretty trashy, and then I have a book that is just sort of a floppy fish on a deck. And then I have another one that I think would be trashy. So this is a good title. I'm hitting 2 out of 3
Okay,
vibes.
I have DNFRN. Do not read for now.
Oh, okay.
Or right now. Do not read right now. I have a book that gave me literally nothing, despite it being a Pulitzer Prize winning book.
Oh,
And then I have a book that I could burn on fire.
okay. I can see why your mind went to the trash. Do you want to start? Do we go from least hated to hated or hated to
Yeah,
least
least
hated?
trashy. No, least trashy to most. You got to build to the build the trash.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Gosh.
Yes, I don't know. I'm not good at narrative tension in real life.
Oh, you got to build the Antissa.
Patient. Yes.
Stop.
Dot gif.
Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Um, sure, I'll start. I think you could
Okay.
probably guess what floppy is this is. You'll know when you see it. It's
Oh,
a fine balance.
I thought you did.
It was fine. It was a fine balance. It struck a fine balance indeed. I did not find it particularly
Obviously, not that
exceptional.
fine of a balance.
Well, I mean,
You
it
weren't
was.
like, hey,
Well, I
I'm
mean,
fine.
I am all about holding modern classics and classics to certain standards. Like if we're going to be looking at canonizing them, I think they need to be situated against the other kind of literature that might be better than it, which other books are
Okay.
better than this book. Yeah, this is it takes place in India. It is not a partition book, which I expected it to be, so that was helpful. And it takes place during the emergency, and it follows 5 characters, I think I want to say, as their lives interweave, going to a major city and basically finding out that as sort of like impoverished people and stuck in the caste system, their lives are sort of stuck in a rut that will be systemically maintained for the rest of their lives, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's
Hmm.
not a happy book, as I think everybody knows about this by
Like
now.
literally everybody says that.
Yeah. Yeah. The writing I found to be just fine. Like it's very accessible, but it's also not evocative in particular. The characters, again, are fairly well drawn, but I didn't see that much complexity about them either.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of did follow like a fairly predictable plot line, which I would not expect for a very big literary darling.
Mm-hmm.
Like literary books, I
Yeah.
think should be subversive at least on that front, with the plot surprising you. And yeah, I also think that they should have like a larger emphasis on character work. So it's a little, it's not baffling to me, but when I can put it against other things such as A Suitable Boy, which was just on Cryab.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
this is just, yeah, it was just fine. Like parts of it resonated with me, other parts didn't. And because I was always at like a hand's length away from the characters, because I could see the foreshadowing of what was coming, I never was very good at investing in what was happening in the actual story. And yet I didn't have a problem turning it on and listening on audio or picking it up and reading it or anything. It was just fine. It was fine.
Yeah, I actually wondered if for that book in particular, if I just knew the major sort of egregious things, I would actually be more willing to know, like, because there's a point where it's like everyone says it's so miserable or it's so sad. Like, I don't want to like the characters, but sometimes, like, if I know what's going to happen, and then I read it kind of like with a classic, then I'm like a little more okay with like getting invested because I kind of have an understanding of what's going to happen. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm surprised that, I felt this way. I feel like a little more open, I guess. I don't know. So I wonder if
Yeah.
almost spoiling it for myself would be better if I went back and read it versus, I don't know though.
Well,
I don't know.
I wouldn't say their interiority is all that interesting anyway. So if you're just there to learn the plot beats and you've already learned what they are, I don't think it would be particularly compelling.
Hmm.
Because
I don't
if
know.
you learn the plot beats, then you understand the themes, which are very blatant in your face with this book. It's very like political and trying to communicate certain things about the government and the caste system and everything. And so as soon as you get those themes, which are very early on, it's just a constant reiteration of them anyway.
Hmm. Oh, interesting. So maybe not. Maybe I'll donate that this weekend.
Well, maybe you'd like it more than me. I don't know.
I mean, I did read the first 50 pages and I went on and on and on about how I disliked it.
It's true.
Um, or I was having a difficult time, I think, just putting it down. I mean, deciding to put it down. And so I was putting like hateful feelings on the book, but really I just didn't like myself for not wanting to read it, I think.
Mm,
So
mm.
very, astute right there. Okay.
Harry forgives you.
Yeah. This is my first flopish.
A Steve Donahue pick.
Oh
Interesting.
my gosh. I did buy this before he recommended it, and then I just realized that he recommended it in retrospect. But
Mm-hmm.
this is The Persian Boy by Mary Renault. And the problem is that I read it over such a long period of time because I was like fitting it in between the cracks of other reads, like whenever I just had a minute or two, that I feel like I got 200 pages in and I just like I didn't really I knew who the main character was, who was a eunuch. No, like I understood like his motivations and stuff, but I
Mm.
didn't and I understand who Alexander was, but I feel like some of the characters that were just vaguely mentioned, but vaguely mentioned often, I just had no idea who they were. And whenever if I don't understand where like character wise, if I can't get a grasp on the characters, I just can't stand that. Like it's hard for me to continue to go on. So because I'm such a character driven reader, and so I'm putting this aside for now. I'll
Mm-hmm.
probably try and pick it up again at just a time where I can like actually get into it. But yeah,
Mm.
the writing is beautiful. I mean, she's clearly a talented writer. She loves Alexander. You can tell. She paints him as this golden boy, like truly, like he is the steadiest stud that ever did walk the earth. I mean, so like you know where she's coming from. And then and she does it through the eyes of this eunuch who ends up sort of non-spoiler ends up being in love with Alexander, and so you're just. But I just had a hard time.
Well, I think
Yeah.
everybody hopes that Steve makes it through this hard time.
Oh
Hashtag pray for
my gosh!
Steve.
Oh, oh. Steve is the goat, okay, of book recommenders, all right?
Okay. Okay. The next one that I have, I don't
Uh-huh,
think I
uh-huh.
even talked to you about it. I don't think so. It was
This
just
was an actual flop, not a
yeah,
pitchy flop.
this was not good. And it was
Just
in
crush and
like
burn.
this was another best of graphic novels of last year from a very specific person who
Not the ice
obviously
cream
has
man again,
no
right?
taste. No. Oh man, that was bad. But this is Zom 100, a manga. And basically it tries to
Fisher, what are you doing over there?
hey, it sounded slightly interesting, okay? It's a take on um zombies in Japan, but through the eyes of this like person who just graduated from school, is very excited to enter the
Fisher.
workforce and is like very excited, but then he himself becomes sort of a zombie in that company as a wage slave as they work him to death. He gets like he works 36 hours a day or whatever. Like he works like his first day lasts 3 days, and then he gets sent home for like a break or whatever, and then he has to repeat it. But when the zombie apocalypse actually hits, he's very happy because he doesn't have to go to work. So he's kind of like overjoyed of this prospect. But
Pretty sure.
well, it sounded vaguely interesting. Okay. Jeez. I understand you never pick it up and never make my mistakes. Okay. The artwork is quite good. Actually, I shouldn't show you because it's pretty over sexualized in some parts. But yeah,
Did that add to your non-enjoyment?
yes, yeah, it definitely did. Like it's very like fan servicey in such a way that like the zombies who are roaming and stuff are very like they're women falling out of themselves basically, and stuff like that. Like it becomes very, it's supposed to be funny, but everything fall flat basically for me. Like he's essentially got like a huge crush on this like gorgeous girl in the office or whatever, and she's sleeping with the boss.
She in the front?
No, this is a different girl that is she shows up in the last 2 issues or something like that and thinks he's a bit of a dope. So that was good. I was like, go team, whatever your name is. I don't even remember. But yeah, it everything about it didn't work very well for me, and it was very fan servicey, very like geared towards like 14-year-old 21-year-olds that are immature and stuff like that. And I should have known because the guy who did the recommendations, he's on like Goodreads, and he's got a picture of like Goku from Dragon Ball Z as his profile picture. So yeah, I don't know. He's like one of the number one reviewers at like Sam or something like that on Goodreads for graphic novels. Like anytime you look up any graphic novels, he's the number one thing. And I was like, maybe this guy knows something. But he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. Yeah.
I mean, I don't read any of that kind of stuff, and I could have told you.
Hey, it was 20 minutes of my life.
Oh, I'm sure.
Was
it really only 20 minutes?
Oh yeah, it's very quick. Yeah.
Weird. Okay, I'm just. Here's a book that should have taken 20 minutes of my life, but it took 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah. And it's called Moy Sand Gravel by Paul Muldoon. I love this cover. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning poet. This is his Pulitzer Prize winning poetry collection. I would say I don't know how to explain it. There would be certain poems where he's being extremely playful with wordplay. And those are the poems I liked, and everything else is forgettable. And I even went back and like would read it. Like I would like, I'm like, am I missing something? And I think if I knew maybe a bit, maybe he's like a poet's poet. Like if you know a lot about poetry, you know a lot about language and the functions of language, like maybe there's like layers of cleverness in it. But on the surface, I was just like, I just don't care. I just don't I don't care. And I picked him up because because I have sort of a revolving interest in Pulitzer Prize winning works, and so I just decided to try the poetry, and I just like, this is going to be resold. I don't want anything to do with it. So, and it literally took me over 2 months to read. And I would just be like, I had that feeling where I was like, I just don't want to pick it up. And then like but it was one of the 23 classics I picked for 2023, even though it's like a modern classic. So I was like, I felt sort of obliged to read it. I'm like, oh, now I wish I hadn't. It was just not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Muldoon ain't for you.
Muldoon ain't for me. I mean, isn't this cover like incredible though? I mean, isn't that just like,
it's okay.
I like it. I like the colors. I like the colors and the texture and that like the shapes, and I don't know. I like it. But anyways, I'll find a picture book that uses art sort of like that. I'll just enjoy the art versus the art inside of the book. Anyways,
I have another graphic novel.
Oh my gosh.
It's
graphic
called
novels galore.
I Hate This Place by Kyle Starks.
Do I know about this?
I don't think so. It's another one that's
the one that you want to set on fire?
No, that was the Zom 100 one. That was just
Oh.
trash. Yeah.
Is this your worst trash book?
Oh, I forgot that we were building up to that.
Okay. I
uh,
can't say anything about Dom 100 because I don't know what it looks like.
the Zom 100 one's
No, no.
the.
Oh, the other one. What was it called?
Oh, I hate this place by Kyle Starks. This is about a queer couple who have like, I guess, esoteric roots in a family home on a farm. She barely like knew the people they passed, and they inherited this property. And they're like a pretty cute queer couple. And then they find that the house, the farmland that they're on, is like haunted, and like they it's like a gotcha moment. Essentially, the aunt leaves this like weird tape, and they're like, now that you own this place, you could never leave, or the you'll be followed by ghosts, or circumstances will make it so that you'll have to come back, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's them dealing with this problem while also finally inheriting sort of like a generational wealth thing, which is pretty interesting for a queer story. But then it just sort of like goes off the rails with them dealing with these ghosts, but yet doesn't make progress on it. Like the pacing feels very stilted and odd with it. They hire these ranchers, and one of the ranchers ends up being like this evil dude who, I guess, pulled a heist. And on this property there's a place where he like somebody ostensibly has the money that he wants or something. So it's
Yeah.
very convoluted. And then all these ghost things, there's not actual forward progress on it, despite it being six issues. Like they don't know why the land is haunted, they don't know why this is happening. And all these like wild things where they're kind of like put in these situations where they're fighting the ghosts or have to run
Mm-hmm.
away from them keep happening. But I read the entire volume and I have no idea why any of this is happening, basically. And I think that's a major pacing issue. And then the main tension being this weird rancher person who flits in and out of the story, who's like this evil dude or whatever. They don't know about it, but we as a reader know about him trying to get this money. And then that resolution, it was just very like poorly handled. So it's sort of baffling why it made the best of lists again for me. So yeah. But Kyle Starks, I like his some of his other work, so I decided
Mm-hmm.
to give it a shot. I can't remember what the first one was. It's about, yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but I really liked that series, whatever it was, 7 or 8 years ago. So I tried, and it had queer characters and stuff, and their relationship is pretty sweet. So there's that. But yeah, I was just kind of like, I don't care about this. Why is this happening? Basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Sorry about the bad read. My last read was something we read together, and I didn't like it at all. Do you know what it is?
No,
No. Okay. It's woman eating.
I didn't think you hated it that much.
It's like gotten worse since
Oh,
I thought about it. Like
it soured on you.
it has. It has. I think it's because I keep thinking about how it's left me with more questions than answers
Hmm.
on like how she is like okay, so the premise is that we're following a young lady vampire who's going out on her own for the first time without her mother, like out living in the world. And she's never tasted human food because somehow she was born a vampire. But the way that vampires, the way that I know vampires work is if you were changed to a vampire as an infant, you would stay an infant. You would stay in that form forever. But somehow she grew up
To a point.
and to a point, yeah, to like, maybe eight to like the to the being of being 18. But it was like or about, but I was just like, how is that even possible? So that really bugged me. And she did that thing where she made like looking the character liking art her main personality trait, I felt like. I
Yeah.
hate that. I
Without
hate it
really
so
explaining it
much.
or going into it or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was just like plot holes. Like her dad is a famous artist and she meets somebody who collects her dad's work. And I thought, oh, maybe they'll kind of loop it back around and like she'll actually see some of her dad's work and then feel connected to something. I mean, nothing. It was just nothing. It gave me nothing. And I was just like, and then at the end of it all, it was just like, that's what this book was about. Like, poorly done. It was just bad. Like,
Savage.
what is that savage by saying something is bad? I mean,
Yeah. I
I
didn't
feel
think it was
like,
that bad, but yeah.
but I mean, okay. And then her mother, it's like we don't really get any resolution with her mother. We just understand that she has a complicated relationship with her mom. And we don't really get any resolution with the guy that in the apartment that like what happens with that or his girlfriend that she seems to have queer vibes towards. Like, do we get anything with that? No. I mean, it just was like, what was
Yeah.
this?
It misdirects what the narrative tension is,
It
I
just
think.
was
Yeah.
like, yeah. And then it's like, yeah. And then I just despise with a passion, like if the main character works at an art exhibit and then like the art is supposed to mean something, it's just like, F you. Like, that's how I feel. I'm just like I could have gotten more visiting the museum myself. I don't want to read about your experience to a museum that changed your life, but you were not a good enough writer to tell me what that experience actually meant. No,
Yeah. If you
no,
want to hear
no.
more about Shelley's art preferences, you should go over to the Tops video with the cash.
Are you
Yeah.
cutting me off? You don't want me to rant about this book anymore.
No, I'm just saying if people want to know, the opposite, I guess, of your feelings, they could
Oh
go
yeah,
there.
because there was a book that talked about art that I loved, and then I was
Yes.
like, it was in stark contrast to a book that talked about art that I hated. I just
A
was like,
book.
it's junk. It's junk. So bad. Like, oh, it's gonna definitely end up on the worst books of the year list, I think, because
Cool.
hopefully I'll choose better.
I think I gave it like
Sorry.
3.5. I liked the
Yeah.
resolution of it, but I really like it when an author denies catharsis for some reason. Like I'm just like, you should
Oh,
hurt me.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a thing that I like. I'm just like, oh, you didn't give me anything. I respect that.
No, I mean, I want a book to make sense. And to me, the book didn't make sense. And, you know, it was like, okay, what are we focusing on here, girl? Like, we're focusing on the eating disorder or focusing on your mom. Where are we going to end up? And then I just felt like, yeah, they're just, and I understand like withholding catharsis. I could see somebody enjoying that part of it. For me, I'm just like, you gave me nothing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. And
hated
you were
it.
like, I hate that. And I was like, oh, you're good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, ultimately, it's not like you gave it a 5 stars. It wasn't like you're good and you're
No.
a 5 star read. It's just like
In the
I
beginning
just,
it was gonna be, I think. Like I love the voice. The I read it on audio, right? And
mhm.
man, that voice actress, she's great. Um,
Yeah.
she was just she's got like a very like she knows how to handle a vampire narrative, like it's like sultry but high upper class British speak, and like I don't know, it was just really good, I thought.
So
So,
if this happened with Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies, it
yes,
was
that's
just
true.
like the perfect British one. Like if you want to know Rachel's favorite kind of audiobook reader,
For
yeah,
British people.
If she's a British semi snobby sounding woman, like
Hey, I like the Irish as well.
I'm just saying, like you just have a very, and then you're like, I love that book. You like love maps. You obviously read it. If you saw this on the page, you would just be like, that was all right.
I do have it on the page too.
But I mean, did you read it? Read it? Then you wouldn't be skewed by this sultry British woman with the
Probably.
perfect kind of snobbery.
Well, yeah, it is though, because it infected my voice of it, right? Like I
Yeah,
listened to it, and then when
true.
I picked it up on the thing, I was just like, oh yeah, this voice is just popping.
Okay, okay. I would feel a little more forgiving if she explained or if there was some logical explanation as to like how she became a vampire. But I was like, you didn't even give us that? Like
Yeah.
B word right there. I was just like, how dare you? Like you're not even following the proper vampire lore. And you're not necessarily rewriting it. You're just not giving it to us.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not okay.
A lot of the stuff about the vampirism was different as well.
Well, it was like you had to suspend your disbelief on how she became a vampire based on our collective knowledge of what we know about vampires. I can't believe I'm arguing about vampires right now.
Yeah.
But it's just like this is part of how you are a vampire. So it's like how are you what how does this even work? And it was only because she wanted her main character to have never tasted food and she wanted to give that as her main character trait, which is why she's obsessed with it. But I was like, even if I just, why were you so stuck on it? Well, which is why I'm stuck on it because I was like, you could still have made her become a vampire at 18 or something. And then the memory of food is so piqued, it's so poignant, it's so much that she thinks about it all the time and wants to get back to it, but knowing that she can't because she's now a vampire. That would have worked for me. But it's like you didn't even give me a reason as to why she is an aging vampire that is growing up. I was like, doesn't make sense. How dare
Well,
you, Claire Coda?
I can't believe you're doing the audiobook narrator this dirty.
You know what? I see how it is. Side with audiobook narrators over the Shelly Swearingen. I see how it is.
I understand all your criticism. It's just that, when a book beats me up like that, I just take it.
So you like understand that you're just a glutton for punishment? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. The spaces in which it left things open were interesting voids for me to fill myself and wonder about those things. Whereas you wanted a prescriptive reason for it. I was like, I wonder if it's like this or like this, and that was interesting to me. And then when she beat me up at
No.
the end, denying catharsis, I was like, thank you.
No, and I didn't want it prescriptive, but there is a way to kind of lead your reader there without hand holding. Like you can maneuver it to a direction, but I just felt like we left it wide open.
Yeah.
And there was no, it was, you were just wide open. It could have gone anywhere from here. And here you are like, yes, it could have gone anywhere from here. I'm just like,
yeah.
plot hole, plot hole, plot hole, plot hole, plot hole. WTF.
It's true.
So thank you. I am right on this. Fire. Like,
Well, if it
how
was
dare
a
you?
upper crust, sultry man narrating it, maybe you'd feel different.
I am not like that. The only person that could make me feel that way would be Billy Crystal, okay? Because he is
what?
he's the person, he's the actor for whom I've had the longest standing crush on, I suppose.
I was thinking, I don't know, Spike from Buffy or something, knowing you. Instead, you're like
James
Billy Crystal.
Marsden? No.
No,
No.
he's not got that British thing down. What about Giles?
Billy.
He could strum some stuff and talk.
Oh, yeah, he's real cute. No, I meant like I just like Billy Crystal's voice, but I think it's because I really love the movie when Harry met Sally, or
Yeah.
when Sari met Hallie.
Yeah. When Sally was really hairy, that was weird.
No, how well do you know that movie? I'll tell you later.
For the rest of the day, we are going to speak like dish.
Oh yeah, do you know the behind the scenes of that scene?
I don't think so.
Okay, so when he's doing that scene, it's totally off the cuff. And actually,
Mm.
Meg Ryan looks off camera. She looks off camera for a second. She's really looking at the producer who's going, keep going. And
Uh,
she goes, so every day, you know, I'm gonna short this. And then he keeps going, and then he's like, do
Pepper.
you want to have dip, yeah, pepper? But she kind of has this moment, and then you realize that the whole thing is authentic. And then I was like, he seems like a really charming person.
Wow. Okay. Well, if it was Billy Crystal, woman eating, maybe things could have gone different, but
Yeah,
such as
because it
it
would
is.
probably have a sense of humor to it, which this did not. But it would be like woman. It would be like woman eating with man's voice. Billy Crystal. Hey.
It would just have a male narrator, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just hated it, but Billy, yes, Billy Crystal forever.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Okay, well, thank you for coming on my channel and talking about
Yeah.
the trash that you have very strong feelings about.
Do I have to defend my position here against people who may be naysayers to what is right? What is the truth?
Okay. I thought I was salty about Zom, but did not approximate the saltiness. Yeah. This dish could have been, salted more, whatever the word is that I'm talking about.
Do you want me to be less salty? Should I not have licked my salt lamp?
Okay. That's a good segue to leave. Enjoy your salt lamp, everybody.